This is a Minecraft world, and today I'm gonna be surviving 100 days in this Minecraft world in hardcore mode. This means that the game is locked on hard, and if I die, I can't respawn, and the world will be lost forever. My goals for this 100 days is to kill the Ender Dragon, get full Naderite armor, and to make a base where I can survive. That is it for me. Enjoy the video and let's get right onto it. I spawned in my world, I had a look around, then I did the first thing any Minecraft players do, cut down a tree to get some wood. I then made a crafting table and some sticks. Then I used my mini HUD mod to display what day we were on in the top right corner. As a Minecraft player, I knew that getting tools, food and shelter would be really important to survive in the hardcore world. Then I went to mine some cobblestone so I could get some real tools. After I crafted up some tools, I saw some sugarcane right next to me in the swamp. I decided to take it. I knew that sugarcane would be really important for the future. I then started walking to see if I could find a place to call home. On my journey I decided to kill pretty much every animal I saw for food. I knew that food would be really important, so I decided to get as much as possible. I then stumbled on a massive flower forest. I put down my crafting table and I then made a furnace so I could cook my food. I then decided to head down in the cave I saw. I wanted to get some iron so I could upgrade my tools and maybe even make some armor. As I headed down in the cave I encountered my first mob. I killed it pretty quickly, then ran further down and got shot by a skeleton. The skeleton had me down at half a heart. I then ran up and blocked myself in to heal up. I almost died. Then towards the end of day 1 I picked up my furnace and headed back down in the caves. I then found the skeleton that almost killed me. I got revenge and I took the iron I saw. I then spent a little bit of time mining iron, coal and anything I could get my hands on. By the end of my mining trip we had reached day 2. I smelted up the iron we had gotten. While waiting for the iron to smelt I decided to kill some more sheep so I could get more food and some wool. I then crafted up an iron pickaxe, a full set of armor and a full set of iron tools. Then by the middle of day 2 I had full iron. I then climbed to the top of the mountain to see if I could find a place to settle down in. I didn't see much, but I saw a ruined portal so I headed to it and then looted it. Didn't really have anything, but I still got a full block of gold. We had found a small birch place that I decided to set up camp in. I dug down a hole in the ground into a small mountain. I then placed down my furnace, crafting table and a double chest that I loaded off my stuff in. I then smelted up my iron, made a door into my little cave, then I crafted up 4 extra pickaxes. I wanted to go down in the mines and strip mine so hopefully I could get some diamonds. We had just hit day 4. I spent most of day 4 making a staircase down to the mine so it would be easy to go up and down. I then spent the rest of day 4 in the caves mining gold, lapis, iron and anything I could get my hands on. I spent day 5 and 6 mining, and on day 6 I found my first 2 diamonds. Sadly it was only a 2 piece of diamonds, but it still felt great. I then spent most of day 6 mining. Towards the end of day 6 I decided to pick up all my important items. I also spent my 2 diamonds making a diamond sword and then I went to sleep. I woke up on day 7, I picked up my bed and headed out for an adventure to look for a place to call home. I wanted to find somewhere close to a village. I ran over the mountains and there I saw it, a village, civilization. I ran to the village, I looked around and I looted every house I could see. I then went down to a little water pond and planted some potatoes that I found in one of the houses. I then made a staircase down to Y11 and I started strip mining for resources. Getting close to day 8, I find a mine shaft. I jumped down in the hole and the first thing I saw, 2 stacks of diamonds. Sadly the first stack only had 2 diamonds, but it was still alright. I then continued down the caves and I found even more diamonds. The second stack of diamonds had 6 diamonds in it. Then I mined the third stack I found earlier, it had 3 diamonds. I now had 11 diamonds. I then spent the rest of day 7 and day 8 mining. By the beginning of day 9 I came out of the caves and then I found an animal pond that had 2 cows in it. This was perfect. I then broke the hay bale in it and bred up the cows to get some steak. Sorry, more cows. I then spent the rest of day 9 and most of day 10 cutting down trees and cleaning up the village. I then spent the rest of day 10 harvesting my crops and planting more. I continued to cut down the trees around the village. I then made a ton of stone fences because I wanted to make a wall around the village. On day 11 I continued building the wall, and by the end of day 11 my wall all around the village was done. Now all my villagers would be safe. I started out day 12 by breeding our cows. I then spent the rest of day 12 placing torches and lighting up the area so no mobs would be able to spawn inside the walls. I had roughly 4 blocks between every torch. On day 13 I headed back down in the caves to mine for basic resources. I wanted more iron, gold, diamonds and anything I could get my hands on. Day 14 I went out and made a diamond pickaxe. I then went back down into the caves and farmed up 20 obsidian. Now I could officially make a nether portal and a enchanting table and have a little bit extra obsidian. On day 15 I decided to place up my nether portal. I went in and I spawned in a pretty good location in the middle of 3 biomes. I then made a small house of cobblestone around the portal. After that I then traded with a piglin I found. I got nothing special beside a few fire resist potions, a little bit of leather and a few other things. I then headed back out to the overworld and planted some sugarcane. On day 16 I crafted up an enchanting table. I then placed it in the top of my roof because I had nowhere else to place it. I then decided to spend 8 of my diamonds on a diamond chest plate. Nice. Then I spent day 17 strip mining for resources. Again, I started out day 18 by planting and harvesting my potatoes. I then spent the rest of day 18, 19 and day 20 farming deep slate cobblestone, andesite and tuff. I wanted to start building my base. While farming I found a stack of 8 diamond ore. I decided to wait with mining it until I had fortune. I started out day 21 with loading up a chest with the stuff that we would need for our starter base. On day 22 I bred up our cows even more. Then a creeper blew up, breaking a small part of my wall, and obviously I fixed it. I then harvested my potatoes and my sugarcane. I then spent the rest of day 22 mining andesite. I started out day 23 by getting all my spruce wood. I then made some stairs. I dropped all of it off in my building chest. I then spent the rest of the day farming birch wood. I then found a chicken in the forest. I lured it back to my base with some seeds. After putting the first chicken in a hole, I went back into the forest to get another chicken. I then brought that one back to base and bred them up. I woke up on day 24. I grabbed some bones and I went out into the forest to tame a dog. I then spent the rest of day 24 destroying a house that was in the way of where I wanted to build my own house. I then cleared out a ton of dirt and did some transformation on a small hill where I wanted to build my house. On day 25 I bred up my cows and expanded my potato and wheat farm. And towards the end of day 25 I expanded the wall and farmed up some sand for glass. I started out day 26 by harvesting my crops and breeding my cows even more. I then started building my house. I then spent the rest of day 26 building the bottom layer of my base. I spent day 27 to day 30 building on my house and farming more resources that I would need to build. And by the end of day 30 I had finished the outside of my base. I started out day 31 by harvesting my sugarcane. I then bred up my cows once again. I then killed a bunch of my cows so I could get leather and meat. Then I crafted up 8 bookshelves with the leather I had. I then went on a small adventure to kill cows and horses and anything I could get leather from. When nighttime had fallen I decided to head back to my base with my 13 leather. On day 32 I started out the day with making the floor inside of my base. I then ended the day by harvesting my crops and breeding my cows. Again. I started out the day by making more bookshelves. I then picked up the enchanting table and headed into my new house. I then placed the enchanting table on the second floor in the corner. I then enchanted my diamond pickaxe, and it couldn't have gone better. I got Unbreaking 3, Fortune 3 and Efficiency 4. I then decided to enchant my chest plate. I was pretty happy with the results. I then headed back down in the caves to mine for the diamonds that I left earlier. After mining the 8 diamond ore, I'd gotten 19 diamonds. I then headed back up and crafted up a diamond axe, a diamond shovel, some boots, a helmet and some pants. I now had full diamond armor and full diamond tools. I then spent the rest of day 33 and the beginning of day 34 strip mining. After spending quite a while mining, I then went back up with my 48 diamonds. Then made up 4 blast furnaces and smelted up all the iron and gold I'd gotten from my mining trip. I didn't get everything I wanted, but it was still alright. I also decided to enchant my sword. Not real good, but I'll still take it. I then went back into the nether to look for the nether castle. I wanted to get some blaze rods. I found the castle pretty close to my portal too. And it had some alright stuff in it too. Quite a lot of chests and good loot. Then I spent the rest of day 35 and the beginning of day 36 in the nether farming blaze rods. I then spent the rest of day 37 killing endermans for ender pearls. When I got back to my base I dropped off all the stuff I'd gotten and then I made 14 Eye of Ender. I started out the day by harvesting my crops. I then spent most of the day looking for the end portal. After my Eye of Ender started to fly down I knew where I needed to be. Then dug a hole for my horse and I then started to dig down. I then filled up the portal, but I was missing 2. So I decided to loot almost everything before I headed back. There wasn't really anything interesting down there, so towards the end of day 38 I decided to head back to base. On day 39 I enchanted my pants. I got fire protection 3 and a breaking 3. I then used my anvil and my sharpness 3 book I'd gotten to get sharpness 4 on my sword. I also named my sword. I then put feather falling 4 on my boots. I started out the day by heading towards the zombie spawner we found earlier. I wanted to make an XP farm. I then dug down to the spawner. I then dug out a small area for the farm. I then spent the rest of day 40 making the farm and also making a pathway underground back to base. Towards the end of day 41 I'd finished the zombie XP farm. I then spent the rest of day 41 and day 42 to day 43 farming XP in the farm. With my 39 levels on day 44 I headed back to base. I then made 2 bows. I headed up to my enchanting table and I enchanted my first bow. I got power 4 and flame. Then I enchanted my axe. I got efficiency 4. Then my second bow. Sadly I only got power 4. Then my shovel. I got efficiency 4. I then spent the rest of day 44 farming spruce wood. I spent day 45 making a pretty good sugarcane farm. On day 46 I spent the day making 2 crop farms for wheat. I started out the day by lighting up my crop farms. I then destroyed a little bit of my old farm. I then made a 3rd crop farm for potatoes. I started out day 48 by fully destroying my old crop farm. I then continued the day by building the top floor in my house. On day 49 I decided to kidnap 2 villagers. I then spent the night of day 49 farming a ton of spruce wood. I started out day 50 by mining out an area for my villager breeding room. I then started building the room out of spruce wood. I then farmed up sand for glass. I made an entrance door into the villager breeding room with 4 iron doors. I then put 2 villagers down in the room. Then I bred up the villagers. I then spent the rest of day 51 expanding the sugarcane farm. I started out day 52 by kidnapping a zombie to zombify our villagers with. I brought it back to base and named it Dr. Bite. I then bred up my villagers even more. I then decided to mine out a place for Mr. Bite. But when I went up to grab him, he had disappeared. On day 53 I went down in the caves to strip mine. I wanted to make some weakness potions for our villagers, so I needed mushrooms for a fermented spider eye. So I went into the nether to look for some. After a while I remembered there was a mushroom tree next to our zombie spawner. After getting the mushrooms I also decided to grab my horse on the way back again. I then spent the night getting a new zombie. I then put the zombie in the little room and named him Dr. Bite, just like the last one. I spent day 55 and day 56 in our XP farm. I spent the days by getting a clergic villager. I then traded some rotten flesh for emeralds. I then zombified the villager so I could get cheaper trades. After the villager had come back to normal, it still didn't have cheap enough trades, so I sent him back through the zombie fire 3 more times. And boom, the villager sold me 1 rotten flesh for 1 emerald. I then made a small room on top of the villager breeder where I then put my first villager. On day 60 I harvested my crops and I then bred up my villagers once again. I then tried to get a good book villager. I got a silk touch villager, so I kept him. I then tried to get another good one, and boom, I'd gotten a mending villager. I then put the mending villager through the zombie fire, and now I had 1 emerald and 1 book for a mending book. I then bought 6 mending books. I moved my mending villager up into the trading hall. I then enchanted my helmet and my 3rd bow. And then my boots, again. Sadly I only got Unbreaking 3. I then put mending on my sword, my pickaxe, my axe, my shovel, my chest plate and my pants. I then spent the rest of day 61 getting XP so I could fix my tools. I spent day 62 and day 63 by getting XP and repairing my tools in the XP farm. I started out day 64 by getting some apples and cutting down some trees. Then I made 9 golden apples. I then tried to get another good book villager, and boom, a protection 4 book. I then sent the villager through the zombie fire, and boom, 1 emerald for 1 protection 4 book. I then bought 2 books. I then put the villager into my trading hall. I then put the protection 4 book on my boots. I then harvested my sugarcane and then the rest of my crops. Then I made a really small super smelter. Then I tried to get more good book villagers and I managed to get an infinity book. I then sent him through the zombie fire. In the meantime I put infinity on my bow and then made a new anvil. I then started mining out the room under our house so we could make a storage room. Then towards the end of day 66 the villager traded 1 emerald for 1 infinity book. I then started building the storage room. When day 68 started I decided to gear up. I then headed towards the end portal. When I arrived at the portal, I filled it in with the last 3 Eye of Ender, and then I jumped in. I spawned in the ground, I dug myself up, and when I got up, I started shooting the towers. When the towers were out, I started hitting the dragon. Because the dragon gets a new flag, I decided to place water everywhere. And boom, the dragon was dead. I collected all the XP and then grabbed the dragon egg. And then I went back to my base. On day 69, nice, and placed out the dragon egg on top of a diamond block. I then made a fish tank around the egg that I wanted to fill with axolotls. I then made the floor and the roof of my storage room. I started out day 70 by harvesting my sugarcane. After that I harvested my crops. Then I grabbed the saddle, horse armor and went out to look for a horse. But then I found some sheep, so I decided to bring them back. After I woke up, I decided to zombify another one of my villagers. After the villager was done, I decided to put him in my trading hall. I then put mending on my shovel. I then bred up my sheeps. I then started to clean and sort out my chests. I put everything in my storage system and organized it. On day 74 I headed into the nether. I wanted to make a netherite mine. I started mining down to Y level 13 and only after a little mining I found my first piece of ancient debris. I then went back out of the nether. I wanted to make a ton of beds so I could mine for netherite easier. I started out day 75 by making 20 beds. I then headed to the nether again and continued mining for netherite. After using roughly 20 beds, I'd gotten 7 ancient debris. I spent day 76 making a really good pathway all around our village. I then harvested my sugarcane again. I then made up 21 more beds and then headed into the nether to mine for more netherite. By the end of day 77 I'd gotten 3 more pieces of ancient debris. I then went back up and crafted up more beds. On day 78 I continued mining. When I was out of beds I'd sadly only gotten 1 more piece of ancient debris. I then crafted up a new pair of diamond boots to see if I could get feather falling. Sadly I couldn't. So I made up a ton of iron boots and enchanted them until I could get some good enchanting on our boots. And boom. Not the best, but I could get feather falling too, so I took it. I then combined our old boots with our new boots. And then I bred up my sheep and cut off their wool again. I spent day 79 to day 81 mining for netherite. And by the end of day 81 I had altogether got 20 pieces of ancient debris. This meant that I could make 5 netherite ingots. On day 82 I smelted up the ancient debris. I then crafted up a new pickaxe. I wanted to see if I could get efficiency 4, so I could combine them and get efficiency 5. And boom, I got efficiency 4 on my new pickaxe. I then combined them, so now we had efficiency 5. I then crafted up 5 netherite ingots, then made all my armor into netherite. And also my pickaxe. I started out day 83 by mining out the hole under our sugarcane farm. I wanted to make an automatic farm. I then started making the farm. I made an 11 long farm on both sides. On day 85 I harvested my crops. I then headed down in the caves and ended up finding some diamonds when I got lost. And boom, 14 diamonds richer. I spent day 86 farming oak wood and apples. On day 87 I decided to expand my wall. On day 88 I decided to make a massive entrance gate into our compound with spruce wood. I started out the day by making a pathway to the gate. I then made a room outside our villager breeding room. I then harvested my crops and then traded for more emeralds. Then towards the end of day 90 I started making the log frame for the second floor of our villager trading hall. I spent day 91 down in the caves mining gold, iron and coal. On day 92 to day 96 I continued and finished building the second floor and the roof of my trading hall. I then harvested my sugarcane and then traded for some more emeralds. I started out day 97 by getting some leaves. I then covered the bottom part of my trading hall with leaves to add some colors to the wall. And then I harvested my crops. Now I wanted to fill my house with stuff. I went to the top floor and made a small piano. I then made the dining table in the second floor. On day 98 I went to the third floor of my house and made a bedroom. And then made a pretty awesome looking kitchen. On day 99 I took all my important resources and made them into blocks. I then went to the second floor of my villager trading hall and placed them down. And then towards the end of day 99 I made a second potato crop farm. And then I went to the roof of my house and looked at the moon go down. As we looked at the sun go up, we had reached day 100. I then, from the top of my roof, looked all over our base and everything we had made and accomplished. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see me attempt surviving from 100 days to 200 days, please subscribe, like and maybe even comment. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Peace out.